Hello and welcome back to the Bright Founders Talk podcast from Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. My name is Chris, and today's guest is someone who has a real knack for entrepreneurship, acquiring in-depth knowledge about AI related to her field, founding 2 successful companies. Hadas Ziso, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and really thank you for this great opportunity to share.
Pleasure to have you. Hopefully I did okay with your name, Ziso. Ziso?
Yes, but you just pronounce it Hadas.
Hadas.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hadas. Yes.
Good. Okay, thank you. It's very hard for English people. We're not very good at pronouncing other things.
Never know.
Never know anything. So as always, we've got some quick fire questions. We've got 3. The first one is, what makes a good boss in your opinion?
So I think I was a good boss, not from my perspective, but from the feedback I received from my employees. So on one hand, to be like, I felt like I'm their mother, listening. I'm a very good listener. Always the door is open, and not just opening the door, but also encouraging them to share and to say, this is wrong, I have a problem, and so on. So this is very, very, very important. But on the other hand, again, like in the motherhood, to set limits, to set deadlines, to make sure that the chores are done. And this way, I think it's the best, along with having them all the time, passionate about it, coming from motivation, not just coming to work, but coming from a real passion, understanding the vision and the narrative of the company. It's very, very important.
It sounds like a very difficult position to find, that fine line between being approachable but also a little bit scary to push them.
Yeah, it's true.
The second question is, what do you do to relax after a busy day?
Besides work, I also have 3 daughters, a family, of course, and a dog, a cat, and 2 horses. So yeah, I'm riding horses from the time I was a very young child. I will not tell you my age, but many, many years. And just it's therapy. It's for, it's a great sport. It's a wonderful animal. It's both mental and sportive thing to do, and I really love it. I think the horses saved me more than once, in many ways. In the corona and every other time that it was difficult. A very recommended sport, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So you have these horses are close to your house, or you have them a bit further away in a stable?
Yeah, I have to drive, but it's great, yeah.
Still, brilliant, lovely. The final question here is, what did you want to be growing up?
So when I grew up, I always loved animals, repeating the motive, and I wanted to be a veterinarian. But at some point, I decided to shift it and to do something good for people and not for animals. So,
still, you're a very caring person. That's the main focus, to care for people or animals. Interesting, nice. I saw that you were a big fan of Pablo Picasso, and you quoted him, "Everything you could imagine is real." How do you open up your imagination in a world full of distractions? How can you get these ideas to start businesses and stuff? Where, is that where you're riding your horses, or how does it work for you?
Wow, difficult question. I don't know. I mean, of course, when I'm horse riding, the mind is clear. It's like my yoga. It's all you think about is the now, the moment. So no, not there. The ideas don't come there. It's just the clearing the head. I don't really know. I think it's important to be creative in everything, and just I also did art at some points in my life, and I just trying to do things creatively in everything, not just career, everything, because I think then you have this muscle of creativity, keep going. And as for solutions in the career, in the startups that I founded, it just came, I like solving problems. So just whenever there's the problem, I want to solve it, even if they don't want my solution. Some people don't want, but I do love it. So just like I'm kind of a problem solver, and I like to think and find creative ideas. So it's like it's a process. I don't know if I have an answer. Sometimes the solution just, comes like this. And sometimes you sleep on it, and in the shower the idea comes, or at night when you dream. Dreams are good for
Yeah.
solving problems. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
little things, right? Like going for a walk or something. You're allowing your mind just to explore that solution.
Yeah. Something like this, exactly. Yeah.
Going back to your education, I saw also that you were a very studious person. I believe you have 4 degrees.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So
24 years of studies.
wow. Okay. Did you I assume that there were 2 options. Either you were not sure about where you wanted to go and you were exploring your passions, or did you feel it was important to be very diverse in your knowledge? Why did you do 4 or 24 years of studying?
Yeah. Well, first, I love to learn. So I even prepare to do more. So I really love to learn new things. I'm very curious about everything. I loved science when I was a student. I love to understand how the world works and so on. So I'm very curious. I love to listen, as I said before, to my employees, but also here to lectures. I'm a very good listener, and I really love it. So yeah, on the contrary, it was very clear to me what I'm going to do all the time once I started my biomedical engineering degree, first degree. I knew this is my path, and I just went for it. I did a master's degree right ahead. And then after a break from the academy in the industry, I returned for PhD combined with MBA. So I did the MBA because I knew I already want to, someday to transform to the business side. So I prepared myself, and this is how I got all those years. But I love the very moment of it.
A lot of times with studies, especially, well, from my point of view, studying in the UK, sometimes the courses, they don't help you in real life. They don't bridge the gap into the real world. I'm just curious about your own experience, someone who started 2 businesses. Yeah. Did you feel that what you studied translated into the world of business? Did it help you directly, or did you have to kind of connect the dots yourself later on?
Actually, let me start from the beginning. My biomedical engineering degree, it was exactly the right thing for me. It's a very multidisciplinary knowledge. And then you understand mechanical engineering, software engineering. I could then, as a manager, talk to those people in their language. So it was very good. And actually, I think I started entrepreneurship in my master's degree because my professor was new. We got an empty desk. The blessing, go ahead. And no budget, no system, nothing. And I raised the money with a grant from the Cancer Israeli Association. And I built a system, reached to preclinical trials with a very low budget. So I made everything happen. So I think later on it was just, very easy for me to do it in the real world. So also in my PhD, with the Professor Moshe Shoham, who I really, really admire, a great person who I work with for 11 years now. But still, I took a new subject, so there was no ready. I was the only one in the lab. We had no funding, so I took care of everything. I submitted to the Israel Innovation Authority and received a nice grant for 3 years, and just built everything from scratch. So I already had experience from the academy. And as for the business aspect, yes, I absolutely agree. The MBA degree is very theoretical. Even if they tell you how to manage, it's not enough. You have to learn from the real world, and that is why in the first company in Tamar Robotics, I didn't want to be the CEO. I felt I'm not ready, and I was head of R&D, and we brought a CEO to join us. So during the 5 years that I was there, head of R&D, I could learn. I was very interesting and involved in all the business aspects, and I could learn from the CEO that was there. And about a year ago, I felt I'm ready and this is the time for me. But of course, you have to learn from the from the experience. Theoretical is not enough, yeah, for sure.
Well, talking about that, when you first went into the world of business after your studies, you were not really sure what they are, to be honest. Maybe you can help me. An R&D engineer and an application engineer. What was it like when you first started in these engineering jobs?
Yeah, it was nice. Insight was very interesting. I really loved the technology. It was complicated and took time to understand. And like I said, I love solving problems, so I like the challenges there. And it was a very good experience for me. And I also loved being an R&D engineer, again, to solve engineering problems with some meaning in them. I love the narrative. It's really important for me to have to be involved in a medical device company and not just any company, and to do something significant with my time. So
All right.
it's throughout all my career.
After some time, you developed some experience and then you decided to start your first company called Tamar, I believe, right?
Yes, Tamar Robotics. Yeah.
Tamar Robotics, which sounds, for the average person like me, crazy. This type of technology sounds crazy. Before you touch on what the company does, I thought there was a really interesting quote on the website. It says, "Where every millimeter counts." And I wanted to just focus on your own experience first. Are you someone who is very precise in business yourself or in what you do?
Well, yes, I am. But actually, I have to compromise all the time because you can never be, 100% accurate. I had to go through a process where 90% is good enough,
Is that hard to accept? Sometimes you have to.
Yeah, for me, it was sometimes hard to accept that things are not perfect. But of course, the reality is not perfect. And sometimes you have to go with the 90%. And it's okay. Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about Tamar Robotics that revolves around neurosurgery, right? Well, how did that come about? What do you guys do?
Yeah, okay. So let me start backward from my PhD, where it all began. I approached Professor Moshe Shoham and told him I want to do something in medical robotics. And he actually proposed this idea to develop a robot for minimally invasive neurosurgery. And I said, great, why not? Sounds good, sounds interesting, challenging, like I like. So this is how I started. At the PhD, we developed the first prototype that was demonstrated in the preclinical trials with GBM, with glioblastoma, the most severe brain tumor. The robot demonstrated an automatic procedure where it identified the cancerous tissue during the procedure, and every time took another step ahead until it reached and recognized the healthy brain tissue. So we could demonstrate the semi-automatic action in my PhD. And then based on the good results, we founded together, me and Moshe, the company, Tamar Robotics. And there we, started to make it, transform it to a product. Yeah, of course, in the academy, it's different. You take, for example, things to mechanical issues to the edge because you want to make some kind of also scientific progress, but in the reality you just need it to work, and sometimes the considerations are different. So we started developing a system for preclinical trials for large animals, and then of course I always was in mind to accommodate it to human use. And this is what we did in Tamar. Very complicated system. The beginning with an innovative therapeutic method, cutting the tissue with water jet, so it will not hit the brain. So we found a non-thermal therapeutic method. We combined ultrasound to monitor the robotic needle motion and many, many other elements. And we had a very successful proof of concept in large animals with hemorrhage in the brain.
From my position, I imagine the world of medicine and hospitals, etc. I imagine there's a lot of red tape when it comes to purchasing new technology. There's a lot of hurdles you have to overcome. Did you find it hard to get hospitals or the government to invest in purchasing this technology, or was it quite smooth?
We did not reach sales yet in Tamar, so I cannot tell you from there. I know from Insight Tech, where I previously worked, it was very difficult to sell systems for $1 million cost of capital equipment. It's very, very difficult to sell. And in Tamar, it is supposed to be around this price, but it's not in the market yet, so I cannot tell you. But of course, always market education is needed for a new device, especially for robotics. I know that myself and Professor Moshe Shoam are very passionate about introducing robotics into medicine because we know it can improve the outcomes for the patients, whether it's diagnostics or surgical. So it's a process, takes time, but I think the world is, going in this direction. And of course, the first systems are quite expensive, and then it's a very, very long process for the hospital to approve buying the system. But eventually, when you show them, they can save money because they have better outcomes for the patients, less hospitalizations, less readmissions, and so on. So eventually, they save money, the insurer saves money, so everyone benefits from this. But of course, it's not like this. It takes time and efforts to sell such expensive systems. Yes.
The idea for the previous one came about while you were studying. How about EndoCure? Where did that come from?
For a long time, something like a small bird whispered to me, you should do something for women, to do something in women's health, because, unfortunately, we are somehow a little bit, I can say, left behind, the women's health. There's not much changes, technological improvements, and so on. So I just decided to look at unmet needs in women's health and, do something about it. Also, as a woman, it's close to my heart, of course. And I reached the field of endometriosis, a very difficult condition, very common, yet, still under the radar, not much spoken about. And I just encountered it in one of the cohorts that I looked into. It was one of the subjects, and then I looked deeper into it. And when I first start reading about the disease, I realized, okay, there are lesions in the abdomen. They usually do surgery to remove them. And I thought to myself, okay, what can I do better here? Maybe some surgical robotic system, but it will not make, a very large impact on these patients. And then I left it aside. And after about a month or so, I looked again. And what I told you before, just like this, somehow, my entire knowledge, know-how from both my academy experience, industrial experience, just, like a puzzle, I came out to this idea for robotic ultrasound detection of endometriosis. And of course, I immediately invited Professor Moshe Shoam to join me. As we work very well together for many years now. And together we built this idea that can impact the lives of 200 million women worldwide during their lifetime. So I'm specifically passionate about EndoCure because, saving from death is something that many people talk about. There are many efforts to save people from dying from cancer, heart diseases, and so on, but not many talks. You don't hear so much about trying to improve the quality of life. And I think this is the impact that we bring to actually save their lives during their lifetime and not from death. So This is the change here, and I'm very, very passionate about it.
I saw that AI is a big part of EndoCure, and It's quite a a hot topic this year. AI is
Buzzword of today.
it's a buzzword, yeah.
Everybody's saying AI, but in EndoCure, it's for real. Yeah. So one of the problems is that it's very difficult to diagnose this disease. The lesions that I mentioned are invisible in any imaging modality, and only some of them, only 20%, when they are larger, 5 millimeter and higher diameter, they are visible with ultrasound, but you need to be an expert. So if a patient is lucky enough to reach one of these experts, she will only get a partial diagnosis of 20% of the lesions. Okay? So the technology cannot see the other very small 1 millimeter size lesions. And if the patient reaches a general sonographer, she will have a false negative answer. They are too commonly said to them, it's in your head, let's prescribe you with psychiatric drugs, and so on. So it's very, very sad to hear. I hear stories of patients and I just can't stay indifferent to them. Every patient has a terrible, terrible story of what she's been through until being diagnosed. So the first and main objective of using AI is to make it accessible to every sonographer using our system. Our system will flag the lesions. It will be effortless, just in this aspect, just to have the complete map. You don't have to have any knowledge about this, just to suspect the patient, of course, to have endometriosis. But once you send her to the scanning with our system, it will automatically detect the lesions, flag them, then use as a superior decision supporting tool for the physician to decide on the best treatment, tailored treatment for the patient, whether it's hormonal therapy, what kind of hormones, because today it is based on trial and error, whether it's surgical. Today it's mostly blind surgeries. They don't have enough pre-plan because, as I said, they don't see all the lesions in imaging, and routine follow-up because the disease, unfortunately, is chronic and it returns in 50% of the cases.
It sounds like a very challenging situation, and it's nice that you're using AI to the full effect rather than, how other people use it. So it's brilliant. Talking about the company, were there any major problems that you had to overcome? And of course, how did you do that?
Well, yeah, it's a very difficult road. One of them is to find the right partners that will work with me in full time. As I mentioned, Professor Sham is with me, but he's, like an advisor. It's me once a week for a few hours, but of course I need other people in full time, and it's very difficult to be an entrepreneur. You have to be passionate about it. You have to work, but you don't get any salary at the beginning. Yeah, so you have to know that the compensation will come later on, and it's difficult sometimes. I tried with one partner that she really loved it, but the family and didn't accept it so much, so she had to leave. So it's very difficult to find the right people for such a young startup where you don't pay salaries. You just have to, motivate people just by knowing that sometime along the road, the compensation will come, whether with the money or shares. But, the daily job is very difficult. And without compensation, rather than the feeling that you do something good, but sometimes, it's not enough. You have kids, you have to pay the mortgage, you have to buy food, and it's very difficult in this aspect.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, what do you see for the future of the company? Maybe the near future or the long-term future? Where do you see the company going?
Yeah, so we plan to have an FDA approval within 3 years. It's a very straightforward road because we use standard ultrasound, standard contrast material to be accumulated within the lesions. We only have a non-invasive robotic system to be approved, so it's supposed to be quite easy. And after this, I just hope, every endometriosis center around the world will want to adopt the system because, there are really great. I met over 30 physicians, key opinion leaders, both in Israel and worldwide. These are amazing, amazing people, caring people and experts, but they lack the tools, just lack the tools. So I really hope that once it's available, they will all want to take a part, to buy the system and to bring better care for patients. So this is the near future. And as for the vision along the road, I really hope we can also bring non-invasive therapy for those patients, using the same robotic system, where after I already have the mapping of the entire area of interest, the physician will just mark the lesion to be treated. The robotic system will bring focused ultrasound transducer to be aimed to the target, and it will just ablate it automatically. So this, I think, will bring, this will be the holy grail of the treatment today for them, because today, as I said, the only option is surgery. It returns. There is a very high recurrence rate of 50%. So once I can offer non-invasive therapy, even if they have to repeat it after a few years, it's not so terrible. So this is my vision for the future.
We wish you all the best with EndoCure, and thank you for your time, Hadas. Have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you very much.